Oi, what's up? It's Demented, and today I have another review, but this is going to be a bit of a different one because I actually got a request from someone by the name of Matanzas, who's I believe, a Shock fan from the profile picture, was wondering in their very longly worded comment that I did read entirely, by the way, that they wanted to see the, I guess, kind of contrast in playstyles between the likes of Violet and Fdgod playing on the Shock. And that is something that I haven't really, I guess, dove too deep into, that I have definitely been wanting to dive into for a while. So I mean, this is gonna be in my, I guess, normal review style, except this one I think is gonna be, at least hopefully, a lot shorter. I'm probably only gonna do like Koth or something, and then eventually I want to go back and do individual reviews on both Fdgod and Violet, but for this video I'm going to do both of them together and see how they mesh, what is working, what isn't working, if they're like a cohesive support line, or if there's a really big disconnect, because that's something that's been brought up into question a lot. So I want to look at the Shock versus Fuel game, and while this is booting up, I will start up my lo-fi and give my normal preface that I, for one, as a typical reviewer, I'm not really keen on giving, like, okay, first off, I do main supports for the most part because I myself am a main support player and I really want the main support role to all around be better, but at the same time, I think that, like, seeing how well or how not well Overwatch League backlines mesh together really can kind of set expectations for other people, and like, maybe it's something that they can learn from, for better or for worse. And I'm very nitpicky about specific things, especially on main support, because I want the role to be so much better than it is. But Fdgod is someone who I'm fairly big on, and it's kind of hard to not be big on Violet unless you were watching the Outlaws game, their first interaction with them. So for the most part, I was seeing a couple of things from the commenter talking about Fdgod's tempo control, so that's something that I'm going to be looking out for. And then on top of that, I'm probably going to like go back and watch the Violet perspective of some of these fights. So overall, this, like, if you've seen literally any of my reviews of main supports up to this point, you know that this is a big fucking deal. Like, look how fucking long he's on speed for literally no reason. Like, even though you're taking minimal poke, every time that you get ticked with damage, that's more to your ult charge, as opposed to fucking, like, this is the only reason I don't really want to review this VOD, is just because he's up against Jexay. But then again, like, Fdgod is known as like one of the better Lucios in the league, if not one of the best, and in my opinion, Jexay's fallen off very hard, especially like just in terms of like farming ult and everything, but I don't want to get too much into that. But yeah, this crossfading does nothing. I mean, it was good looking for the boop. That's a really good displacement. But overall, nothing really tempo setting. The Fuel have set everything up to this point, which is, I think, why they get dunked on. So that's, I guess, kind of weird. So I guess we can rewatch this through Violet's perspective. And again, I'm pretty much only going to go over Busan, I believe. At least that's the plan. So all this poking is fine. Early shift for no reason. The engagement literally hadn't started and he was already shifting for no reason. Another pretty much, wait, hold on. Let me check this shift, because I don't think this shift gets anything either. And this is something that yeah, that maybe got on Kree, Lucio, and Violet pretty much only, which weren't in any danger in the slightest. And you really want to be having the shift up like literally as an engagement's happening, or like have it be pumping up like constant healing, or you can even kind of use it like if you have to reload in some way. There's a bunch of different ways that you can use your shift better there, which is I think probably why Fielder beats him to the window. But overall, like in terms of tempo from the shock, this has been very weird, and this is where if you saw my last video, I talked a lot about how people have been mentioning the shock sort of doing what are called hero plays, meaning that everyone's kind of off doing their own thing. It's not really a conjoined group effort. It's more of just like, you know, occasionally it's going to be the Striker show, the Super show, the Nero show, or the Nero show, and everyone's just like passing the ball around with who wants to carry this fight. But the really good teams are teams that are gonna make like multiple people shine at once. So let's go back to Fdgod, because now with point control, that was really good awareness, knowing where they were gonna TP. Pretty good rotation. I don't know, like kind of looks like completely lost and disjointed from Super, because if we watch this back and just see, like, I just want to see where Super goes as opposed to where Fdgod is, because ultimately you keep your Lucio and your Ryan nearly at all times. So all this poking stuff is fine. I still would like to see him crossfade a lot less. So TP comes out, full team TP, and now you have Fdgod in Neverland, while you have a Nooning McCree and a Ryan who's looking to follow up on his own Shatter, which I think he might only hit like Sparkle, if that. I didn't see how many he shattered, I guess in hindsight, but like there's a lot that you need to be speeding here. And I mean, he does get a pretty okay peel, he being Fdgod, he gets a pretty good peel on the Ryan, but I don't know, I feel like you kind of made your team invest a little bit more ults in terms of like you didn't get value immediately off of the Noon or the Shatter, and that probably like scared Nero, and Nero's like, oh well, guess it's the Nero show for this one, and fucking had to blow Blizzard for no reason. So I mean, but Fdgod was with I think Bat pretty much that whole time, so we can watch this one from Violet's perspective. But right now there hasn't really been any meshing between those two, being Violet and Fdgod. Yes. Okay, that's a better shift. Pretty okay lamp. Unfortunate. I remember how big that fucking Shatter was looking in hindsight. So that's just a Shatter coming out. Nothing too big happening. So now on a recontest, I want to see how Fdgod does with tempo, because up to this point it's basically been, and this has been my okay. And up to this point has basically been my thing, saying that Fuel, if you watch Fuel's shot game as well as their Outlaws game, they set the tempo like a motherfucker with the sim comp, and if you don't like keep on top of it and push the tempo before they do, you're just gonna die due to like their ability to transition a lot faster. Good wall bait. They try to go on Choi. That was an interesting boop, but I can see what you were going for. Yeah, like, in terms of tempo control, it's fucking... This entire team seems like all over the place, and like, I always kind of have to bring it up as a disclaimer that it's not 100% that Fdgod is the one calling tempo, transitions, rotations, etc. And instead it could be super. Break middle. That's a good boop off of high ground. Ooh, how does Violet get picked? Because this has been something that people have been saying about a lot, especially since the Outlaws game, of how often Violet has gotten first picked on BAP, which seems like incredible. That's just a sparkle orb with window. But like, okay. Let's watch this back. So let's see how much of this is actually like Fdgod doing well. So that boop is good. Again, just stop crossfading. You really just gotta stay on heals. As soon as you see that your BAP dropped, stay with as many people as possible and on heals literally at all times. This is a good heal amp. So like all of this is fine up to this point, except the crossfading. Because like, even though Lucio in the grand scheme does like little to no heals, it's so hard to look at this and be like, this is literally the exact same fight if Fdgod's on heals almost the entire time. So how do we use B here? Oof. A little unlucky on the speed. I think it was just a little distance from super, which was interesting. That's a good boop up. Let's watch this back from Violet's perspective. Really unlucky lamp, actually. I didn't even see that. Yeah, like I can completely see where people are coming from with like, this just looks disjointed, scrappy, and like as I said in my last video again, like it really seems like if Junkbuck was the main person who is working on like team synergy stuff, that it makes sense for them to look like this as soon as he's gone. But I mean, overall, I can definitely see where the disconnect is, in terms of let's a quick drink of water. Basically, I'm seeing a big disconnect between Fdgod and Super more than anything, in terms of what they want to do. It's also not very apparent to him whenever Violet is dead, because he has a good sense of tempo in amp usage, because he knows when to amp and what to amp, but it's those like small times in between that are going to like propel you, as opposed to crossfading for literally no reason. Like, crossfading helps you with duels, but you don't really need to be dueling people as much as you need to be getting beat, especially if the only beat you, or the first beat that you got that flipped the point in the fuel's favor was literally shattered and completely useless. And I mean, there's even a small disconnect at times between Fdgod and Striker in terms of the speed high noons not coming all the way through. So, and I'm gonna gravitate towards watching Fdgod a lot more because I have more to say when it comes to main supports than flex supports, but like right here you're done moving. Stop crossfading. You really don't have to. That's a fine M. Displace. See, now that's really good. Now that part isn't. Like up to this point, this heal amp, all this shit, like look how fast he's building beat now. So now, as soon as you see, I don't think so whenever it comes to like displacing tracers, you don't displace a tracer that's already in place. You displace a tracer whenever she goes for a like blink, because you know as soon as she blinks then she's gonna start shooting, especially if it's like an aggressive blink. But instead it's a really like excuse me, it's very late, a very scrappy like pretty much waiting for fucking Doa to come in whenever. And if that boop hits Doa, who knows how this fight goes. But also, if we're talking tempo wise, I mean, if you're shock and see that fuel are on this, you just keep rotating. You never play for this fucking feeder. Now I assume watch that back from Violet's perspective. So this lamp's really good. Okay. I mean, ultimately, there's not too much that could have been done differently, just because of Fielder hitting that nade, but I just wanted to see if I could. Sorry, if I could see anything. Okay, so this is a big fucking weird thing. I have no clue what's going on this fight. But we almost have beat from Fdgod. And I've also like I've done like duo reviews a couple times, but it's hard for me to even like say how they're doing as like a cohesive unit. Please just amp heals like immediately after that shit. Like, yes, Striker is omega out of position there, but just amp heals as soon as you get to this corner. As soon as they start engaging on you. Like, go around corner, and right here. As soon as you regroup with your team, right here, you're amping heals. Especially as soon as a nanoed monkey jump comes through. Because as soon as he starts cleaving, you're gonna be amping throughout the entirety of his basically peak damage. Because that's when his damage really spikes the fuck up. But so Fdgod gets beat again. Let's see how it gets used. It's a nice E. What prompted this? Was this okay? Mistakes from the other team can definitely make you want to change up the tempo, but this is still completely like, maybe they just thought they had a lot more ults than they did, because this is really bad. Especially because if you aggressively beat when they have rally, you are immediately getting rallied on and fucking destroyed. Don't even really catch Fearless. Yep. Now tempo is entirely out of their how does he die? What? Oh, I thought DM was shield. Holy man. Do I even try to watch Violet Moira before I have a stroke? Well, I'm glad I'm not watching him. Yeah, I mean, like, even when his Moira's Fade got forced, like, it's a little bad positioning wise for Violet to die like all the way over here, but man, like, there's not even like basic peels coming out. And like, plus they're on a dive comp, so you need to keep track of your Moira's Fade just as much as the other team does on Lucio. Jeez. I didn't know it was this bad actually. But I mean, it's good for retrospective and good to see how just how much Dallas was able to turn it around. But I think I'll let last fight play out. But if I'm looking at this while they really try to fucking stall this shit, if I'm looking at what I see and don't see with this, I like it, and it really sucks more than anything, because if you're looking at a Fdgod Violet backline, mechanically you have one of the best backlines in the league entirely. But now it's if the game sense and everything falls short, because if you have people like Super and Super Striker Choi, and I guess Violet as well, that like they were all playing with Junkbug. They were used to having the synergy, and now it's just not there. Maybe that is why Moth was feeding so hard, or why he was permitted to feed so hard. Because he was that much of the glue that held the team together. Maybe, dude. But again, if I'm looking at these two teams, what I see mostly are really big disconnects between the peels of Fdgod, and I guess Violet's positioning on occasion, But overall, I can only hope that it gets tightened up in the future, realistically. But overall, it's really hard to think that it's gonna get better just out of nowhere. But I'm hoping for them, definitely. What else? What else? What else? Because I I definitely still think they're a top backline, like no fucking question about it. That they're a top backline still. It's all just about if they can get the synergy down, and I think once they do, they're gonna be one of the most feared backlines in the entire game. But we'll go from there. So yeah, I thought it was a lot worse than I thought it would, or than I thought it would be. So I will revisit both of these two individually in the near future. Not sure how long they would be, and typically, if you're, I guess, newer to watching these videos, I normally make them like hours long, and I even have a playlist with all of my reviews up to this point. But like right now, I'm kind of on a time crunch because I get my second vaccine tomorrow, as well as I have a lot of personal shit going on right now. So with all that being said, I want to wrap up this video, and I can go into the black screen. Okay, so I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any other requests that you want me to do in the future, I will 100% be down. Right now on my list, I have Fdgod, Violet, but I mostly want to hit all the main supports. So before Violet, I'm probably going to do Nisha as well, because Nisha is someone who I've been super big on for a while, and I really want to hopefully broaden the audience of people that need to know Nisha, because Nisha is a fucking nut. So with that all being said, I appreciate the fuck out of you for watching. Follow me on Twitter whenever so you can get updated whenever I upload. And with that being said, I love you all, and I will see you when I see you. Later.